Do a barrel roll.
Welcome to the Now. I'm Ashley.
And I'm Adam.
Man, coming out of E3, it seemed like a lot of the big game releases got saved for 2019. Specifically February 2019, which is weird. But we're not actually out of luck for the year. It kind of looked like it, but we're not. There are a ton of amazing games that look incredible coming every month from now through December. So your wall can get a nice workout, get good and strong before February 22nd completely destroys it.
We could probably go on for hours, but instead we limited ourselves to 10 games coming out this year that are going to blow us, and hopefully you, away. And without further ado...
Number 1, Octopath Traveler. I'm excited about this one. It's maybe a weird way to start the list because most of the others that we're talking about are these very large-scale, high-budget adrenaline fests, but Octopath Traveler is a game that we've had our eye on since it was announced last year under the working name Project Octopath Traveler, and then we assumed that they would change it to something that made sense, and then they did. They just dropped Project. A Nintendo eShop demo dropped last September, which got us a preview of the game itself and was a lot of fun. And at first glance, the game very clearly calls back to these classic 2D sprite-driven RPGs, but the developers modernized the look with what they call an HD 2D aesthetic that combines sprites and 16-bit style textures with polygonal environments and impressive effects. Look, in total, the game has 8 characters you can choose from. Each one has their own unique story and starting area, but regardless who you choose from the get-go, you will be able to add all the remaining characters to your party and play with them all the same. From a gameplay perspective, players will be doing things like exploring the vast world of Ostera, battling enemies in the wild, doing story and side quests, finding treasure, and helping people in need, which is a very important thing in any RPG. Combat's turn-based. Players will control their entire team. Each character will bring unique abilities and weapons to the mix. And even more good news, if Octopath Traveler sounds like it might be for you, there is a prologue demo on the Nintendo Switch eShop that'll let you play all 8 characters' prologue stories and even carry your save file through to the full game once it releases July 13th for Nintendo Switch.
I played the demo. It's real good, and I'm really excited about it.
And it's worth checking out if for no other reason. It's a demo, it's free, and everyone is always saying, hey, we need more demos. And they said, here's the demo.
And that demo has like 24 hours of content. If you wanted to just do 3 hours at a time, play all 8 characters, it's cool. Next up is Death's Gambit. Have you been clamoring for a beautiful pixel art Metroidvania-inspired game with RPG elements and challenging combat?
Boy, have I!
Well, you're in luck, because that's what's happening. Death's Gambit, developed by White Rabbit and published by Adult Swim Games, has players take the role of Soren. Driven by his desire to honor his dead mother's memory, Soren seeks immortality. On his quest to not die, players will explore an open 2D world, collect and upgrade weapons, ride a horse, and fight big scary bad guys.
Hey, you had me at ride a horse.
Players will also be given freedom in upgrading their talent tree to cater to their chosen playstyle. This game looks gorgeous, and more solid Metroidvania games are always welcome.
Always.
Especially as we wait for Ori and the Will of the Wisp next year.
And all of its tears.
And it's an extra bonus for players who enjoy a challenging fight. We won't have to wait too long to find immortality because Death's Gambit releases on August 14th for both PlayStation 4 and Steam.
Might also be the lowest profile game on this list, the one that the fewest people have heard of, but absolutely worth checking out.
Check
Looks
it
really, really
out.
cool. Next up, this one is one of those high-budget adrenaline fests. It's Spider-Man for PS4. With all of the middling superhero games we've seen in the past, for a long time it seemed far-fetched we'd ever get something good from a Spider-Man game, but the seasoned team over at Insomniac are proving us all wrong. They are delivering with previous titles like Ratchet & Clank and Sunset Overdrive being the big one, I think, for showing the promise of Spider-Man under their belt. It's clear Insomniac knows how to make some real good titles. There's one thing that really, really blew us away at E3 this year. It's how fun and easy it was to pick up a controller, just start swinging around in the Spider-Man demo on the show floor. Or, you know, walk along on the street and just wave to people because you're Spidey and you can do that.
Nice.
You know, so whether you're swinging or free falling, running on walls, zipping around, whatever, the movement in Spider-Man feels top-notch. The game features an open world with non-linear progression where players will be able to tackle really whatever activity suits your fancy. Combat in the game lets players go toe-to-toe in melee combat, web up foes, use Spidey gadgets like trip mines. We will have to wait just a little bit longer to swing around New York City. Spider-Man is hitting shelves September 7th, and that's going to be a PlayStation 4 exclusive.
That game is definitely, just from the little bit I played on the floor, game's definitely going to be a contender for me for Game of the Year. It has some, like, the swinging is just like, it feels like riding a bike. Like, it's just perfect.
You start and you know.
Yeah.
You get it.
It's great. The next up is Shadow of the Tomb Raider. We got our first good look at the final entry in the origin trilogy of the Tomb Raider games during E3, and our little Lara Croft has definitely grown up.
And she's got issues.
Like the previous entries, it's a third-person action-adventure title, but there have been major adjustments to the gameplay you might remember from Rise of the Tomb Raider. Swimming has been revised, air pockets let Lara stay underwater longer, thank God. She can rappel down cliffs, and the emphasis on stealth has been dialed way up. You can cover yourself in mud. Lara can escape from combat by breaking line of sight, and some of her takedowns look downright brutal.
And again, she can cover herself in mud.
And yeah, like that's the best feature of the game.
Important.
It's a straight pull from Predator. I love it. This time around, the game is being developed primarily by Eidos Montreal, the studio behind Deus Ex and the Thief games. And even with the early gameplay, we can see the impact of that.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. This time around, Lara is traveling to Latin America in search of a Mayan relic connected to her father, while the paramilitary organization Trinity hunts the same relic. What are the chances? What are the odds of that?
So coincidental.
Beyond that, we know Square Enix has announced future plans for DLC, including new narratives, missions, tombs, surprise, weapons, and skills.
Pretty excited for that one. It looks good. It definitely looks like the darkest entry in the trilogy. Makes sense. It's going to be wrapping up her origin story. Not Tomb Raider as a total series, just this is the how Lara Croft became the Tomb Raider trilogy that they've been telling the last few games. Pretty excited about it.
Do you think that they're going to end it like they ended the movie spoiler where she picks up the gun, she's like, I'll take 2 of those. And she has her guns.
She said it just like that.
Oh, man.
Next up, SPYRO Reignited. Very exciting, especially if you're Jeremy. Whether you love SPYRO back in the day, or if you missed out on it and always felt like you missed out on it and you want to get in on it, the Reignited trilogy is giving people a chance to experience the first 3 SPYRO games with modern graphics and gameplay. The trilogy is going to remain faithful to the originals, but it's being rebuilt from the ground up. So pretty similar in process to the Crash Bandicoot Insane trilogy, which came out last year and reintroduced that character to current-gen gamers. Visually, SPYRO is stunning. It looks great.
Yes.
It takes all the fantastic environments from the first 3 games and shows you what like modern technology can do with them. The levels, although they are pretty, are recreated, so they're not really changed from the originals. This is a remake, not a reimagining.
Yep.
And as the title suggests, you take on the character of SPYRO, a dragon, and his dragonfly buddy, Sparks. In the first game, they set off to rescue other dragons from a nasty spell. In the second game, Ripto's Rage, they accidentally visit the realm of Avalar, where they end up taking on the warlock Ripto. And in the third Year of the Dragon, they travel to different worlds to recover dragon eggs stolen by an evil sorceress. And we can look forward to playing as our favorite purple dragon September 21st. That's going to be on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One.
I am excited.
I'm excited as well. I didn't play the SPYRO games the first time around, so this is going to be my chance to really get into them.
I only played them on the demos that were on the PlayStation Underground demo discs, which was extensive.
Ooh.
Those demo discs were great, by the way. Next up on our list is Battlefield 5.
Ooh, a contentious one.
If you're into the first-person shooter genre, chances are you probably know exactly what Battlefield 5 is, but we put it on this list anyway. In the upcoming installment of Battlefield, players will be returning to the World War II era, I think the first time since like 1942. Well,
there was 1943, and then they 21, 42, and they've gone back and forth a couple of times. Around. But they went away from it for a while, and now they're making their big return.
Right, and we have plenty to look forward to from that era. The game will feature a vignette-style campaign, which I think they're calling War Stories, which is very similar to its predecessor, Battlefield 1, where you take these little stories, and then you have one character they focus on, but then there's more stories with different characters.
Yeah, so you get to focus on a lot of different theaters and a lot of different stories.
Right, exactly. Players will also be able to take part in the new Grand Operations mode, which is a multiplayer mode inspired by historical events that take place over the course of several days, and they even have shifting objectives depending on how the previous day went, so the battle will sort of alter as time goes on, and those are going to be released one at a time. You're going to have the first one at launch, and then over time, more will launch, so we'll have more Grand Operations to look forward to. However, new modes and stories aren't the only changes coming to Battlefield 5. DICE has made changes to both the movement and shooting as well. So the movement feels a lot more, you can vault over things, it feels a lot more tight. It feels, I don't want to say Call of Duty-esque, but it doesn't feel as slow as the previous Battlefield games have, if you had that problem.
Well, they're also doing some cool things too with things like being able to move move defenses.
Yes.
And so they're trying to make the battlefield more dynamic, which is pretty exciting.
Yeah, and even when you're like defending a point, you can build up sandbags and things like that to defend that objective. It's really cool. But potentially the biggest reveal was that there will not be a season pass or DLC for the game.
Well, there will be DLC, not paid for DLC.
Sorry,
It'll all come.
No paid for DLC. You'll still be able to buy cosmetic microtransactions, but they've been pretty clear that they're keeping it cosmetic after they're dust up with gamers over microtransactions. And Battlefront 2, please never have that happen again.
Right. Well, on the bright side, I guess if we're looking for a silver lining, they got so burned by Battlefront 2 that this may be like the best implementation of microtransactions we're likely to see from them.
Yeah, it seems like we've had a shift in how microtransactions are done now. A lot of games are getting rid of their season passes and their paid DLCs, and they're just doing, okay, here's cosmetics. We get it. We don't want Battlefront 2 to happen to us ever.
No one wants that.
So hopefully these will be a non-invasive bonus for those with extra money to drop without detracting from the main game for those who don't. There's been a lot of controversy over the historical accuracy of this entry in the series, so it's got its detractors for sure, but lately it's hard to argue with the gameplay DICE has been delivering, and that will keep players coming back for more.
Right.
Battlefield 5 airdrops onto PC, PlayStation 4, and Xbox One October 19th.
Airdrops, I see what you did
Yeah,
there.
it was like because of planes and stuff. Yeah.
But possibly the most anticipated game of this year.
And maybe the reason that there are so many games getting pushed to 2019.
Maybe. Is Red Dead Redemption 2. It's returning players to the good old wild, wild west before it became just West. Red Dead Redemption 2 is a prequel to Red Dead Redemption. It puts players in the shoes of Arthur Morgan, an outlaw who's part of the Vanderlinde gang in the waning years of the American Old West, also known as 1899. We already know that we're going to see our favorite cowboy, John Marston, make a return of some kind, but for the most part, Rockstar has kept details on Red Dead Redemption 2 pretty close to the chest. However, if it's anything like the last Red Dead Redemption, we can expect an expansive open world, some killer gunplay and duels, a story that will keep you engaged the whole way through, and a whole lot of horse riding.
And hopefully some nice songs while you ride the horses.
Oh man, they were so good.
Yeah.
The honor system will also be making a return, so you can expect similar experiences there with NPC interactions affecting how different towns and groups act towards you, or towards your character, Arthur. In addition to single player, which is where Red Dead Redemption really shines, in my personal opinion, this game is expected to feature heavy online support as well. Rockstar hasn't really elaborated, but based on the online for Red Dead Redemption and GTA Online, there will be plenty for players to do once the West has been saved, or whatever it is that we're doing. As long as the stars align and we don't see any more delays, it's looking promising, fingers crossed, we'll be riding horses and lassoing bad guys or good guys or just guys, whatever. Everyone needs to be lassoed on October 26th, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and there are rumors, based on a post on LinkedIn, that it may actually be coming to PC as well, which would be great.
Yeah, we'll see. That game is definitely my most anticipated game this year.
For me, for sure.
Yeah, I cannot wait. Probably going to take a week off, so I'll see you not that week.
Uh-oh. We just won't have news that week.
We don't need
We'll
it.
be busy.
People
We'll
will just be playing Red Dead, so it is what it is. Next on our list is Fallout 76.
It's a big one. This is also a good one.
Absolutely. Though Fallout 76 was announced a few weeks ago, it wasn't until E3 that we got a rundown of what the game would actually be like and play like. At the Bethesda presentation, we were given a rundown on the changes 76 would be bringing to the Fallout games, and they were big.
Significant.
Very big. Foremost of them all, Fallout 76 is a multiplayer survival game where you will be exclusively playing online with other people. Todd Howard did say in a later interview that post-launch support would include private sessions as well as mod support.
Which I think are both very welcome for people who've been concerned about those things, which is a lot of Fallout fans.
Yeah, I think that dropping in that there will be private sessions is important for people because not everyone wants to be online and getting shot by other people.
Yeah,
period.
but also worth noting that does sound like it's post-launch and may not be in when the game hits.
Right. The other big curveball is that the game will not feature human NPCs, although bots and terminals will still be in the game to dole out quests and things like that.
You got to get them somewhere.
Yep. Naturally, this has caused concerns among Fallout fans, but with quests still playing a role in the game, we'll have to wait and see how things actually play out. We don't quite have all the details yet, but we have enough of them to have an idea. Other important tidbits include the gunplay being reworked into a more shooter-friendly package. Player camps will be key to their wasteland survival, and the game's map will be roughly 4 times what we saw in Fallout 4.
So big.
Big, yeah. They mentioned that the changes to their engine allowed them to go more vast with it, have better draw distance and things like that. Bats and special systems will also be making a return, but have been reworked in light of the multiplayer aspect, since they can't exactly slow the game down. That would be cool if they did. Slow the game down for everyone every time someone uses VATS. So even some of the familiar things will play a little bit different. One other major note is that players will be able to control and launch nukes, irradiating and destroying parts of the wastelands, which will actually temporarily change the fauna and flora to create high-level endgame zones.
So which is actually a pretty cool implementation. You basically get to decide which areas end up as high-level areas.
I know it will
temporarily
be the areas where my camp is in. It's going to be great. We know that these changes have been divisive amongst fans, but we can't help but look forward to romping around the wasteland with our friends. Fallout 76 will have a beta prior to launch and will release proper on November 14th for PC, Xbox One, and PlayStation 4. We'll see you there. Don't shoot me, please. I'm nice. I'm friendly.
We're all going to get shot. That's just going to happen. Next up, Just Cause 4. Oh yeah, you thought that the explosions you're going to get from nukes were the biggest thing of the year? Oh no. Just Cause 4 is all explosion. It's just one big explosion.
Yeah, there's
on
a button
disc
that you can find in the game that will explode the whole map in Fallout 4 or in Just Cause 4.
Not true. So just announced at this past E3, Just Cause 4 is going to be ramping up the chaos you know and love from the franchise. Avalanche Studios knew they had a winning formula, but they wanted to rework it in a couple key areas. The first big change is the game will have 4 distinct biomes. You can expect rainforests, mountains, a desert, and grasslands while exploring Solace. Each biome not only has its own distinct geographical features and foliage, but will also have unique extreme weather. Extreme!
Yeah.
That's right, we get to play around giant tornadoes, sandstorms, blizzards, lightning storms. And thanks to the new Apex engine, all these weather systems will interact with the world and its objects in a real-time simulation, which makes for some really satisfying destruction, I'm sure. Just grapple all the things and attach all of them and then send them off into a tornado. Just Cause 4 also allows players to customize their stunt tools by changing things like the tension or speed, adding really cool deadly effects to them, and adding a new tool to the mix, the Airlifter. The Airlifter is basically a remote triggerable air balloon that can lift anything from people to, I don't know, buildings.
Think Fulton from Metal Gear Solid, but fun.
Big.
And just as fun.
Big. Overall, Just Cause 4 is shaping up to be a refinement on their formula while adding enough tools and events to keep players excited and keep it feeling new and fresh. You'll be able to grapple into a super tornado or whatever other superstorm of your choice. On December 4th, it's coming to PC, Xbox One, and PS4.
I'm really looking forward to that. I got to see a little bit more of that, and it just looks like their focus is on making the game really fun. They don't care about anything besides fun.
Well, they know that it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's the charm of Just Cause, and it's nice when you get a franchise that leans into its strengths like that.
Yeah, it's great. I think this is the last one on our list, but it is Super Smash Bros. Ultimate.
So definitely not least.
Definitely not least at all. When Super Smash Bros. Ultimate was initially announced, it was just called Super Smash Bros. And fans were concerned that it was a simple re-release of Super Smash Bros. 4.
Well, I mean, which is a valid concern because Nintendo's released so many other Wii U titles for Switch that it wasn't super clear.
Right. But thankfully, at this year's Nintendo E3 briefing, it was confirmed to be a brand new installment in the series, and it had a whole lot of fanfare to go along with it.
Boy, howdy did it.
Possibly the biggest news from this announcement is that the Ultimate will feature every character from past Smash games.
That's a lot of characters.
All of them. That means fan favorites like Cloud and Snake will be back on the roster. Nintendo did say the roster would not be complete at launch. They're releasing it piecemeal because they're going to be releasing characters and maps as time goes on in a similar fashion to how they supported Splatoon and ARMS after launch, to keep people keep people getting new stuff and it feeling fresh for everyone.
Right, and then you come back, there's someone new to play, or there's a new stage to play on. It makes a lot of sense, especially with a roster that big, to not do it all at once.
Totally. New characters like Ridley and the Inklings will also be joining the roster to add even more gameplay variety to the game. Nintendo went into extensive, and I mean extensive,
very extensive
details about changes to the games, covering things like changes to characters, changes to stages, items. Overall, there are thousands of small changes made for this new entry, from sweeping changes like speeding up the game to smaller ability tweaks for playable characters. Other good news for competitive fans is that every single stage will have an Omega form. That's right.
That's big. That's huge. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's Omega.
There will be new power-ups, assist trophies, and Pokeball power-ups. All in all, it seems like this is the Smash Bros. Games fans have been waiting for, and it launches on Nintendo Switch December 7th.
So there are a lot of great games coming out this year. That's just 10 of them. That's just 10 of the really big ones.
Yeah, and there's stuff filling those cracks. And maybe we'll talk about those as well, but there's a lot to look forward to every month. Like, you're going to have big games and lots to play. So don't be afraid. There's stuff for you.
Don't be afraid.
And this isn't everything, like we said.
No, but let us know what your favorite games coming out in 2018 are in the comments down below. What did we miss? What should be at the top of the list? Let us know, and to make sure you get all kinds of news and coverage and analytics and talking about video games and all the things that we love and hate about them. Make sure you like this video, and if you're new here, subscribe to the know. That's also an important step.
Do it. Scary bad guys.
Hey, you had me at ride a horse.
Players will also be given freedom to... Sorry. Players will also be given freedom in upgrading their talent tree to cater to their... Players will also be given freedom in... Fuck. Players will also be given freedom in up... Why am I...
It's like tying a tie. It's like first time or 100th time.